actually what I had tried to relay to them, and this is an indicator of it, you have to earn the right to win, period. I think that the mistake that they've taken is that they kind of thought it was easy to win somewhere else. It's not easy to win anywhere. It is real easy to lose.
Say that again.
It's not easy to win anywhere. I think they had a misconception that the players.
The players.
Oh yeah, if you're playing at such and such, you're easy to win. It doesn't work that way.
How about the top of this thing?
Looking at the tape, I've watched everybody pretty closely. To me, it looks as if Clemson and Virginia Tech are pretty clear cut on tape as being two of the more talented teams in the country. Certainly, we all know that Miami and Florida State have great players. We know that Wake Forest is returning a bunch of great players. North Carolina returning players. You have to fall in somewhere, but it's all pretty close. After Clemson and Virginia Tech.
What's going to be a successful season for you guys? Where will you look back at the end in December and be able to see?
And I'm not avoiding the question, but I don't think we can kind of think that way. I don't think that when your seniors have won 2 games in their career, when your last home victory was September 17th, 2005, for us to get beyond focusing totally on trying to beat James Madison in the opener is a big mistake. And I've told our players that last spring. I'm not interested in people saying, well, you got to be a bowl team. Yeah, everybody wants to be a bowl team. Everybody wants to win, but wanting to, the only way we're going to have a chance to get there is to play real well against James Madison. And so and they're certainly a good football team. Most of you know that in the 1AA ranks. So we have our work cut out for us right now.
You've talked about the statistics, the lack of victories and stuff. So what was it about Duke that made you think this was a good job for you?
Well, the first thing was people, in 2 regards. One, Dick Broadhead and Joel Leva at the time, and now Kevin White, which we had a home run. But the commitment of the university and the people in place. We did a lot of discussion via conversation and letter back and forth, talking about things that we both wanted to have happen. And then the other part of the people part of it was huge in my mind, was getting our staff back together. When they let me know they would put me in a position to at least go and approach the right guys and get them back together, I was really excited. I offered 9 guys jobs and 9 people said yes, so that's pretty strong.
You didn't get turned down at all. How many coordinators did you have?
I have 2 coordinators on each side of the ball and a special teams coordinator. And it's really an indication, number one, we all know each other, but that doesn't work where guys don't really have a genuine concern for the group rather than themselves. They really do. These guys love each other. It's a tribute to them. And one of the best groups of people I've ever been around in my life. And one thing I will say boldly is we have the best staff in the United States. And I will say that. And I put them up against anybody.
You've coached against Coach Spurrier quite a few times in the SEC. Obviously, Duke had success when he was there. Did you talk to him at all since you've taken this job?
I did. Talked to him before I took the job, and talked to him since. And Steve and I have known each other a long time. My brother and Steve played together at Florida. So he is one of his more memorable, fun experiences was his time as an assistant at Duke and his head coaching tenure at Duke. Steve hit it right. He told me that. Didn't stay here very long. And you really couldn't build a program in that period of time. You had a quarterback, threw the ball around, and did well. Now, I think he has a realistic viewpoint of of Duke and the challenge. And he kind of talked to me about that, understand what some of the challenges you're getting into. I listened to him, so it was helpful to hear what he had to say.
Any particular advice he gave you about this?
Well, the first thing he says, just try to win more than you lose. And I said, well, that's kind of standard everywhere, isn't it?
You've coached in the SEC for quite a while. There's been a perception with the ACC, even though they've produced a lot of draft picks, that they haven't been able to translate that success in the field. From what an outsider's perspective and now an insider, what do you think of this conference and where it ranks?
It's very similar to the Southeastern Conference. And the first place you look is not necessarily draft choices. You look at defenses and speed and ability. And, one of my contingencies in college football, and certainly in the NFL, the field gets smaller and smaller and smaller. It's why the NFL took those hashes in. They realized those kids, men that play in the game, just encompass the field, the speed and the size. Well, you see the very same thing in the SEC and the ACC, and studying all of the opponents, and I've watched, like I said, all of them a lot, very closely. It's eerily similar. The thing that the SEC has is long-standing traditions in crowds, and people around our area tell me, that basketball is number one. I'd say that might be true. But as I look at our state, and I look at the area, 4, teams within pretty close proximity, but the Triangle, 3 major college football programs. We got one of the greatest places to go for football fans to go watch football. And I look at our state and the high school coaching and the players. We've got a pretty good sized state population-wise. I think we have one of the best football states. It would be a top 10 in the country as a football state, in my opinion, in North Carolina. I really believe that.
You think the perception is different for ACC and SEC from the typical fan, maybe because of lack of national contenders?
Yeah, I don't know if it's national contender. It's just there's that long line, and it's really kind of funny. There's not as much difference as people think. The perception of the fan is that it's all that.
Yeah.
I have great respect for SEC teams and defenses, and we play one in Vanderbilt. It plays really good defensive football. People don't think of Vanderbilt, think of it. Really good defensive football. So but they're very similar conferences.
Just what's your opinion on the possibility of an early signing date? Do you like the way it is now, or would you rather have an early signing date as well?
I don't like what recruiting has become when it comes to all the early commitments. And then I don't know that we haven't created a new word in the decommitment. And that's a popular recruiting site word. I don't care much for that word, so I try to tell kids not to commit to us until they understand what commitment means. And I like to be able to shake a hand and take a person for their word, and I want them to to feel the same about us. If an early signing date would fix some of that, then I would be for it. We keep pushing recruiting back. It's going back into each other. I mean, we're recruiting 2 classes at one time. Now we're going to be recruiting 3 classes at one time. I don't know if we're feeding the monster, so I haven't made a solid decision yet of what's best.
What about right now? It seems there's no talk of a playoff. People are pretty happy with the way things are. Would you rather have a playoff system in place?
No, and I actually call it a tournament because that's what it is. When you declare a tournament, and football's a unique sport. I'll get to that in just a minute. But the tournament winner may not be the best team in college football. That's everybody's given that would produce. That's not the case. We have the toughest championship to win, and we have a very healthy regular season. And we got a great bowl system. And if you're a player playing college football, people sometimes complain about the number of bowls. I've never heard a player complain about it. It's a pretty good way to end your year. And I think what we're doing is finding the national champion accurately most years. I think we have a lot of talk, and sometimes controversy is even good. We have a group of people maybe at an institution that thinks, hey, we were the champions, and so it's not a perfect system, but I don't think a playoff tournament is a perfect system either.